Welcome to Fearless, Not Careerless. I'm Darren Mel. If you're stepping into the real world or trying to figure out how to move forward without losing your mind, this podcast is for you. I spent more than a decade hiring, training, and leading young professionals, and here's what I know. Talent matters. Work ethic matters. But emotional intelligence, integrity, and how you show up every day, that's what actually builds a career. Each week in under 12 minutes, we break down the real lessons that no one teaches you in school. Because being fearless doesn't mean being reckless. It means building something real. Let's get into it. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Fearless, Not Careerless podcast. And I'm your host, Darren Mel, very average human being. Really excited about this one. I know. Let me ask you this question out there. For those of you that are in high school or college getting ready to eventually graduate. If I interviewed you tomorrow and asked, why should I trust you? Would you freeze? Or would you reach into a vault of real life receipts and say, let me show you? One of the things I wanted to say is and where I'm leading with this in the episode is about sort of this isn't about interviewing. Yeah, we're going to get to that. There's so much to cover there. But I wanted you to start thinking about it now that you're already preparing for the interview that you're going to have either 6 months, a year, or 2 years from now. A lot of us, including myself, you're going to potentially end up in corporate America. If you do want to work in corporate America, whether you know it or not, you're already building your highlight reel. Every project, job, failure, leadership moment, awkward group assignment, and summer gig is shaping the story you will one day tell in an interview. The candidates, I think, in my opinion, who I've done over 1,000 interviews myself, the candidates who win aren't the smoothest talkers. They're the ones who've earned trust long before they ever shake a hiring manager's hand. And, this is the truth that nobody tells you when you're in high school or college. And I don't even think my parents ever even told me this, but your interview doesn't start when you put on the blazer or whatever the dress, we'll just call it corporate attire. It doesn't start when you put that on. It started years ago. And most people don't realize that they've been, in a way, filming their highlight reel the whole time. And let me explain what I mean by this is I call it a highlight reel because most people, especially in the US here, understand what that means. Most students think that an interview is about saying the right words, like I'm a hard worker, I'm a team player, I thrive in fast-paced environments or tight deadlines. And I would say to that is, congratulations, you just described every human that has Wi-Fi. But here, and I say this, what hiring managers are looking for because, well, I am one, and I've interviewed in panel interviews with other managers and worked with hundreds of other managers. But this is the thing that hiring managers are actually asking themselves. Can I trust this person? Now, I have my 2 to 5 core values that I'm looking for. And once I've gone through a 2, 3, or 4 or 5 interview process to bring somebody on board, at the end, when I say, I'm going to make an offer to this person, what is it? It's trust. I'm trusting that person to basically run a small version of a franchise for the logo of the company that I work for. And that's how I've always described it, especially in the world of sales. But we're hiring somebody for a specific role. It's a franchise piece of that company. And the skill of trust, it can't be taught. And it's just there or it's not. Which leads me sort of to the next point here is what actually gets you hired? Myself as a leader, again, I've done over 1,000 interviews and hired hundreds and hundreds of people. I had to at one point figure out what am I looking for here? How do I know when I'm getting an answer that says, yeah, you should hire this person? But the one thing that I look for is trust. And Did you earn it during the interviews? Are you consistent? Do your stories line up? Do you take ownership? And your ability, like your highlight reel in an interview is going to be verbally explaining it. And I'm saying to you out there listening, what have you done that would someone would be impressed by? You know, the basic stories of life, some of the things you did, how you helped somebody out, something you volunteered for, that shows your grit and your hustle. And I look for authenticity, emotional maturity, and self-awareness. You know, and I'm listening in an interview is, are you telling me what I think you like I want to hear, or are you showing me who you really are? And that is the difference between a good interview and a bad interview. And you have to ask yourself this, and that's part of self-awareness. Did I really show them who I am, or did I just spit out answers to their questions just to get to the next round? If every answer you gave in an interview came from the top 10 interviewanswers.com website, I already know I'm getting the rehearsed version of you. And I don't hire avatars. And the other side of this is like today, whatever the day it is that you're listening to this, you're already filming your highlight reel. There's the things that if you're in school right now, high school or college, this is the thing that most students miss. Every interaction is footage. The group project where someone dropped the ball and you stepped up, the part-time job where you handled a difficult customer without losing your mind, the time you failed at something and had to own it. That's your highlight reel. Think of your career like a documentary. When you sit in that interview chair, I don't ask for hype. I'm asking for scenes. And when you ever watch like a talk show and somebody's coming on to promote their latest movie, they always show a scene of that particular actor or actress that, you know, makes people, it emotionally hits them. What do you have that you can bring to your interview? And that's going to be somewhere along like that. And what I'm getting at here is that you need to start prepping now for the interview. If you're in high school or college right now, this is your edge. Don't just do things, document them, reflect on them, be creative. I had this one person that I hired, she did her homework. I mean, she knew how to, she filmed a video in advance and made sort of a spoof on Legally Blonde movie, which unfortunately I've not seen, but everyone told me she did a great job. And, you know, not that you have to do something at that level, but it's your creativity that shows your personality. Ask yourself when you have certain experiences, what did this teach me about leadership, about conflict, about accountability, about myself? Make it, you know, practical. Keep a wins and lessons document. Write down difficult moments and what you learned. Track leadership examples, capture failures and recoveries. Because when you walk into that interview a couple years down the road and someone says, tell me about a time you handled conflict, well, you won't panic. You'll choose which story to tell. And that's what I'm looking for when I'm interviewing people, is like, who's at ease with himself? Who's not intimidated just because I got some goofy title next to my name, but I'm still just a human being. But I do know that, and I was there too, you get scared. But if you know that those qualities that I mentioned, that you have them and you know how to cue them up and bring them up, you know, think about two candidates. Candidate A says what the hiring manager wants to hear. Candidate B says, here's a time I messed up. Here's what I learned, and here's how I changed. Even if you've never interviewed somebody before, who would you trust more already from those statements? The one who shows emotional maturity, the one who demonstrates growth, not perfection. Perfection is suspicious. Growth is believable. You know, as a hiring manager for sales, I've jokingly said this for years, is that everybody, I must be really lucky because everybody that I interview for a sales job says that they left the company that they left, they were the number one salesperson. So I only get the number ones, and I never even have the number two salesperson come interview with me. I'm already suspicious right there. Fearless, you know, is preparing before the pressure hits. Careerless is winging it and hoping your GPA carries you, your personality. Think of this. Your interview is not a performance. It's a reveal. And think about this as just some of the questions for you as you may be looking for a summer job or a job on campus or wherever. If someone interviewed you tomorrow, what 3 real stories could you tell that prove you're trustworthy? And where have you demonstrated emotional maturity in the last year? Can you describe a failure and what it changed about you? Are you building experiences or just building a resume? And what are you doing this semester or this year of high school that your future self will thank you for in an interview? Think about that. And ask yourself, as we close this out for today, ask yourself, what story am I building today? Be fearless enough to prepare, not careerless enough to wing it. I hope this hit home with you. You've got time on your side. Take advantage of it. This is Fearless, not Careerless. We'll see you next time. I'm Darren Mel. Thanks for listening.
This has been the Fearless, Not Careerless podcast with Darren Mel. Before you go, remember this. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move forward with integrity, curiosity, and consistency. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who's building their career too. And if you want more practical insight on leadership, growth, and staying grounded while you rise, subscribe here on Substack, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, or anywhere podcasts are welcome. Until next time, be fearless, not careerless. See you next week.